into my bond
Yeah,
consideration.
that's fine.
So,
2018 shoplifting conviction. That's it.
Wow.
Judge, you there?
We lost the judge.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, but I'm back. And did we resolve the location of Walton County? No,
Well, no, you said it wasn't important. So,
it was not important. Okay, thank you.
so this is
Then-
a third arrest, shoplifting 2018 conviction.
All right, thank you.
All
Ms. Duffett or Ms. Gardner?
I am handling that, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this matter, the court's already issued a $1,000 signature bond for the cruelty. The state would ask for a $3,000 surety bond on the simple battery family violence. And we would request that the defendant not return to the incident location, which is 125 Logan Street, Southeast, Atlanta 30312, which is the Columbia Senior Residences. We have spoken with the victim in this matter, who is the defendant's mother. She has requested that she not return back to that incident location, but she does want contact. We would ask no drugs or alcohol while out on bond, to have no weapons or firearms, and to complete a one-day anger management awareness while out on bond. As I stated previously, this was an incident between a mother and a daughter. And the allegation is that she did punch her mother and spit on her during the altercation. And there was the defendant's minor child was there while the incident occurred. But at this stage, there were no visible injuries regarding the cruelty charge.
All right, thank you. Mr. Howard?
Yes, Judge. Ms. Taylor is 27 years old. She has been a resident of Georgia her entire life. She currently is not working. However, she does have two minor children, ages 8 and 2, that she is responsible for, that she cares deeply about, who I believe are now in the custody of her aunt, that she usually lives with in Covington. It's my understanding she was visiting her mother at this time, and so she doesn't have a problem staying away from that address. She'll be staying at 55 Sears Road in Covington, Georgia, is the address that she'll actually be residing. Judge, as the court heard, there's only one prior arrest, which was not arrest for violence, and one prior conviction that we heard of in 2018, where the underlying charge was shoplifting. And there is a dispute in the facts, Judge. My client tells me that she was not the aggressor in this case, and that she did not strike her mother, and that her mother actually struck her. So suffice it to say, there'll be we'll contest the facts at a later time, but we would ask the court, given her limited history, her ties to the community, that the court would consider a signature bond on this charge as well.
All right, Miss Dana Miller. My name is Judge Lal, and if you want to say anything, you can unmute. You also have a right to not say anything. It's entirely up to you. I'm sorry, you're on mute. You need to unmute your screen. There is a button at the bottom with like a little old microphone. Do you see it?
Okay, I found it.
All right.
Can you
Did
hear
you
me?
want to say something or leave it as it is?
Well, I think that Nikki will return to court.
I need to place you under oath. Please raise
Oh,
your right
okay.
hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
And how are you comfortable with having contact with Ms. Taylor?
At the moment, I would prefer that any contact be with a police officer here, like to get her belongings.
Okay, that sounds fine. And Ms. Miller, unless you have something else to add, I am done with, I can conclude our conversation.
Well, I would say that I'm sure that Nikki would return to court, that I think a signature bond would be adequate for her.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Miller. You may mute your screen. Mr.
Thank you.
Howard, if you could please send Ms. Jordan Taylor's new address, the 55 Sears Road, and you can either put in the chat to Mr. Jordan as the host, Fulton County State Court, as well as to LM Melissa, our litigation manager, and we'll make sure it's in the system.
Okay,
On the cruelty, I've already set bond at $1,000 signature bond through the jail. On the simple battery, it's going to be a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial. She has a total bond of $3,500, and that's going to be a split bond. No contact with Dana Miller. She's to stay 200 yards away from Miss Dana Miller and not have any form of communication with Miss Miller, either through a phone, through a computer device, through a third party, in any way, form, or manner. She is to stay away from 125 Logan Street in Atlanta, Georgia, which is in, I believe, Gwinnett County. And she is not to return to that location at all, which is a location, I'm assuming that's where Miss Dana Miller lives. If she has any personal belongings, she can go there one time only to retrieve her personal belongings. She needs to go with a police officer. And if she goes there without a police officer, she will be arrested and brought back to jail. No illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, no firearms. And she is to complete a one-day anger awareness program with the pretrial services. Ms. Miller, did you have something to ask?
Are you talking about me or my mom?
I'm asking Jordan Taylor.
Okay, my aunt Tiffany.
Jordan Taylor, Ms. Taylor, did you, if there's something related to the charges, I would ask that you not speak about that. Did you have a general question about the process?
Yeah,
Because I can explain it to you.
It said that 55 Sears Road wouldn't be my address, so I'm trying to figure out what it would be then.
No, that will be your address. I'm gonna send.
Well, she
send-
just said it would not be my address. My aunt just said that it would not be my address.
Okay, well.
I'm sorry, Mr. Howard, what is her current, does she live at 55 Sears Road?
That is the address, right, that she'll be living at, just her aunt's address.
No, my aunt just said that's not the address.
Your aunt said that's not the address?
Yeah, just looked at it on the screen. She said that would not be the address.
Howard,
Okay,
she put it in the chat. She put it in the chat. If you look
Okay.
at the chat.
She's moving this weekend.
Oh, okay. So can,
All right, Tiffany, no, that's all right, Mr. Howard. Tiffany King, could you please start your video and unmute your screen? Very pretty picture, but we really need to see.
Hi, yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. King, is Ms. Taylor living with you?
Not at the present moment because I'm in the process of moving back with my daughter.
Okay, will she be living with you then after this?
She could stay but not live.
Okay, that's a big, okay. So Jordan Taylor,
Man,
once you are released from the Fulton County Jail, like I said, you cannot return to your mother's location.
I have no problem with that.
Within 30 days of being released from the jail, you would have to update us with your new address.
Yes, ma'am.
All right? If you don't update us with your new address, it will be up to you to find out when's your next court date because we only send out notices by mail.
Okay, how about 91 Wood Chase Drive?
Put that in, give it to Officer Norris and he can put that in the chat feature to FC State Court. Whatever address you give, that's the address we will send you your notices. If you fail to appear or if you get arrested again, well, then you get to spend the rest of the time in jail. All right, thank you, Ms. Taylor. Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you.
thank you, George.
We have position number 1, Mr. Adams, Jalen Adams.
All right, we have an add-on to Officer Norris, Andrew Wiggins, I think.
Yes, we have him here, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jalen Ladarius Adams, case 22 CR 001200B, is accused of criminal trespass from March 4th. Mr. Adams, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Mr. Charles Ford. Tucson, any priors, please?
First arrest. It was an SOB jail recommendation.
Okay. Does Mr. Adams, well, Ms. Gardner, what's your recommendation?
The state recognizes that he has no prior history and that he is 17 years old. We are asking for a $1,000 signature bond through the pretrial to stay away from Banneker High School and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while he's on bond. Would Your Honor like a factual basis?
No, I've got that. Thank you so much, though. He doesn't, is he, well, I guess Mr. Ford would tell me, is he still an enrolled student there?
He's not an enrolled
no.
student at that.
Got it. I got
particular
it, yeah.
school. Okay.
I thought I read he was a student, but I just looked at it again. It says isn't. Okay. Is he currently in high school anywhere?
Yes, he is, Your Honor. He's currently enrolled in one of the alternative education schools.
Okay. Thank you. What's your recommendation, Mr. Ford? Can we get a co-signer?
Yes, Your Honor. I've got the name of his mother, Jeanette Green Martin. I did inform my client, because he's 17 years old and hadn't been before the judge before, that he would have to probably have someone sign him out on a signature bond. And that's why I do have her telephone number and name, Your Honor.
All right. Bond's going to be set at $1,500, and it's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. Co-signer is going to be Jeanette Martin. Is that correct?
Yeah, Jeanette Green Martin.
All right. Mr. Tucson, I hope you got that name.
Spell the first name.
I have J-E-N-N.
Ask your client. How you spell
Okay.
his mama name, please?
Jalon, how do you spell your mom's name?
Johnette.
Say, oh,
Johnette.
Yes, ma'am.
And the last name is what?
Martin.
Martin. You waving?
Yes. So as soon as mom comes by and signs your bond, Jalon, you'll be on a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. If you violate, through pretrial services. If you violate any of the conditions of your bond, you'll be back at the Fulton County Jail, but make sure you bring $1,500 back with you. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are to stay 200 yards away from 6015 Fellwood Road, which means that you stay away from the entire campus belonging to Banneker High School. You cannot be seen anywhere near the school, not in its parking lot, bus lot, definitely not in its gym or where they hold proms and stuff like that. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you return to that location, like I said, bring $1,500 and your toothbrush, because you might end up spending a lot of time at the Fulton County Jail. As soon as your mom co-signs the bond, you will be back. You'll be back in court. So make sure you check the mail for your next court notice.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we have that add-on, Mr. Andrew Wiggins.
All right.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I might have missed it. Did you order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons during bond?
Yeah, let's put that in there. Miss Melissa, please make sure no drugs, alcohol, and weapons for little Jalon.
I have it, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay. Sorry, I just need to pull up that case. I didn't print it out. All right, we have State versus Andrew Wiggins in case number 22 CR 001212E. Mr. Wiggins is accused of battery, domestic violence, and giving false information to a law enforcement officer from a March 2nd incident. Mr. Wiggins, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Charles Ford. Tucson, any priors on Mr. Wiggins?
20 total between Georgia and Tennessee. 2009 robbery by sudden snatch conviction. What else? He had a felony theft by taking, criminal damage to property, second degree, striking fixed object, obstruction. From 2011, he did an Alfred plea with that one. Hold on. I got an ag assault, kidnapping, cruelty in the third. Those were dead docket. That's a 12 SC case.
Okay.
What else?
Any DV convictions?
Oh my God, what's the name of it? I got a false imprisonment ag assault conviction. That's 12 SC 109562. As far as Tennessee, he has a domestic assault bodily harm conviction from 2016. Also has arrest in 2016 for ag assault, regular assault, domestic assault in Tennessee. 2018 violation of probation, domestic assault, bodily harm, aggravated assault, and violation of financial law. Got a stalking that was dismissed from 2016 out of
Okay.
Tennessee. 2015 ag assault, it was dismissed for lack of prosecution out of Tennessee. And a 2015 domestic assault arrest. I think I touched everything.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Gardner?
Yes, would you like a factual basis on this one, or are you familiar with the law?
I've literally, this is the one that occurred in Campbellton Road.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Yeah, I'm familiar. I just need the bond recommendations, please.
Okay, thank you. The bond recommendation from the state is a $5,000 cash bond. No contact with the victim, LaShonda Bryant. Stay away from 2460 Campbellton Road Southwest. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol, and a one-day anger awareness. Your Honor, the state has noted that he has 4 probation violations on his record. The officer indicated that she was very afraid when he was there and would not tell him what happened until the defendant was safely handcuffed and removed. He has previous convictions for aggravated assault, both in Georgia and Tennessee, domestic violence, obstruction. So we believe that the cash bond is important.
All right. Do you know if the victim was an alleged victim in any of the prior cases, especially out of Tennessee?
I do not know if she was in the case for Tennessee. We have not been able to reach the victim. However, it is likely we will be referring this case as a transfer as aggravated assault due to the injuries that were alleged.
I see. All right. Thank you. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is 36 years old and he spent the last 25 years here in the state of Georgia. He's a high school graduate. Also, he has he's certified as a heating and it's an
HVAC?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. I can't just rattle it off like that. Anyway, and he works in a home improvement business with his father. It's called D&T Around Maintenance. He's been doing that for over 10 years. He lives with his father. I have a good address for him. He has a valid driver's license in Tennessee, Your Honor. He, as you will note, a lot of his issues were almost 10 years ago, except the one that was 2016, and then there was a probation violation. He has I don't believe he is a threat to society due to the fact that those issues were some time ago. So at this point, Your Honor, I have a telephone number for his father, who is Andrew Wiggins Sr., and he will be staying with his father at that location. Your Honor, we're asking that the bond be set at $1,000 surety.
All right. On the battery domestic violence, it's going to be a 2,500 surety bond, and the false information is 1,000. This is going to be a 3,500 surety bond. Next court date is March 17, 2022, unless he makes bond. No contact with Miss LaShonda Bryant. Stay 200 yards away from 2460 Campbellton Road. And no illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, and no firearms. Does he share any children with Miss Bryant?
I know he has a daughter, but I don't believe they share the same.
All right. If no children, then there's no issue with a third-party transfer. Mr. Wiggins, if you return to that location, or if you have any contact with Miss Bryant, even if she initiates the contact, and the authorities discover that, you will be back in jail and could face felony charges for aggravated stalking. I will put you on notice that the Solicitor General's office intends to see if this case can be transferred to the Superior Court as a felony case. So please keep in touch with the Public Defender's Office and be mindful of the conditions of your bond so that things don't look so bad in the future. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good luck.
Your Honor, this is position number 11, Mr. Wooten, position number 11.
Darren Wooten is accused of theft by taking, a misdemeanor offense from February 24th, 2022 in case 22 CR 001211G. Mr. Wooten, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Derek Howard. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
7 total. Last arrest was August 2020 for battery out of the city of Decatur. 2017, criminal attempt to commit a felony. That was dismissed out of PTI. He had a capital offense from 2016 that was dismissed. What else? 2012 ag assault, terroristic threats, reckless conduct, arrest out of Rockdale.
All right, thank you. Ms. Duffin? Yes.
I'm handling. Thank you, Your Honor. The state's bond recommendation will be a $5,000 surety bond. We would also request that he not return to the incident location, which are the Novel Apartments at 5755 Glen Ridge Drive in Sandy Springs, and to have no further contact with the victim in this matter, whose name is Naila Muhammad. I believe she is on the line.
She is.
We would ask, while out on bond, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and to complete a one-day anger awareness. The state is concerned that there is an open battery charge, and as the court is aware through the warrant, there were allegations that there was a previous incident between the parties and that he did enter the apartment on a key fob that was not his. So again, that's why we would ask for no further contact. They don't have any children together, and I don't believe they're in a relationship. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Ford or Mr. Howard, let me just ask Ms. Mohammed a couple of questions. Ms. Naila Mohammed, did you want to address the court?
Yes.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. How do you know Darren Wooten?
He was my boyfriend.
Okay, was?
Yes.
All right, and have you recovered your phone?
Yes.
All right, is it intact and in working condition?
Yes.
Okay. Any and you want him to stay away from you in your apartment complex?
Yes.
All right, anything else?
No.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Howard?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Wooten is 25 years old. He is a lifelong Georgia resident. He attended Valdosta State University for a short time. His mother and siblings are still living here in the metro Atlanta area. He won't qualify for our services after today, Judge. He does some day trading, which he's been doing for about 2 years. So I did advise him that beyond today, he would need to hire private counsel. And Judge, I didn't hear any convictions. I did hear some arrests. We talked about some those prior arrests, and for good reason. They were not convictions, they were dismissed. Judge, he is fine with staying away from that location. We do have an alternate address for him at 3380 Peachtree Road, which is where he lives. So we would ask the court to consider a signature bond, since I didn't hear any failure to appear, no probation violations. And given that this is a charge which is not an allegation of any violence whatsoever toward Mrs. Muhammad. So I would ask that there not be an anger awareness. Essentially, the state is asking that it be part of this bond because of a prior incident, for which he's presumed innocent, by the way. I'd ask the court to consider a signature bond in this case.
All right, bond is going to be set at $1,500. It's a surety bond. He is to be back in court on March 17th. No further contact with Naila Muhammad. Stay away from the entire Novel Apartments complex on Glenridge Drive. No illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, and no firearms. 200 yards away from Miss Muhammad is the length of 2 football fields. So, Mr. Wooten, I assume you watch football?
You talking to? Yes, ma'am.
So you know 200 yards is the length of 2 football fields. That's how far you have to stay away from her and the apartment complex. And you are not to contact her in any way, form, or manner through a phone, third-party computer device, and you are not to discuss her on any kind of social media. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And now, if you initiate any contact with her, or if she initiates contact and you respond and the authorities find out, we really don't care whether she invited you to her place. They will arrest you and bring you back to jail, facing felony charge of aggravated stalking. So if you plan to add more charges to your criminal history record, that would be the surest way to do it. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is March 17th. If you make bond, please make sure that we have a current address. Mr. Howard, I have a Conyers address. Is that the current one?
Judge, I'll put the correct address in the chat. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat now. It's 3380 Peachtree Road that he lives, apartment 1503. So I'll put that, yeah.
Okay, we just want to make sure that Miss Melissa and Mr. Jordan take a note of that and put it in the system, because we have the old one. All right, thank you, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Wooden.
Next, we have position number 4, Mr. Braggs.
Cameron Lee Braggs is accused of criminal trespass on March 4th in 22 CR 001204H. Mr. Braggs, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Charles Ford. Mr. Toussaint?
20 total, 5 out of Tennessee, the rest out of Georgia. He was just here a couple of weeks ago. Criminal trespass, Georgia Tech. Before that was January arrest, Georgia Tech trespass, failure to leave campus. December 2021, criminal trespass by APD. July 2021, trespass, giving false name, disorderly conduct. June 2021, trespass, misdemeanor obstruction. It's pretty much the same thing.
Thank you.
That was an SOV through the jail, that last one. That wasn't pre-trial.
Oh, that was by Judge Williams, wasn't it?
I think so.
Okay. Ms. Gardner, what is your recommendation?
Well, Your Honor, this defendant does, as far as I can see, at least 9 convictions of criminal trespass. He's been arrested 5 times before this time by the Georgia Tech Police Department. He has 2 open cases. Apparently, the signature bond granted him a couple of weeks ago does not keep him from reoffending. So the state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond to stay away from the Georgia Institute of Technology campus, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, the last case has no disposition at this time. My client is 25 years old. He's been a resident of Georgia for about 3 years off and on. He's a high school graduate of Cordova. I think that's Cordova in Tennessee. And also he's an associate's degree from Middle Tennessee. He's not employed at this time. However, he is searching for employment. He has no children at this time, but he does have a stable address, Your Honor. And I have the telephone number for his father, Mr. Michael Braggs, as well. Your Honor, we believe that this is a criminal trespass case. We feel that a signature bond, maybe $4,000 signature bond, be given at this time.
Given the great likelihood that Mr. Braggs will reoffend, bond is set at $2,000. It is a surety bond. And unless there are extraordinary reasons to amend this bond, it will remain as a surety bond. And he's to stay away from, well, he already knows he has to stay away from the entire complex of Georgia Institute of Technology. This will be a second order telling him to stay away from the entire complex of the Georgia Institute of Technology, also known as Georgia Tech. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. We will see him on March 17th. And we're going to place his other case also, unless it's got a new court date. The 22 CR 000983F. We're going to place that on the March 17th. Does he have a new court date coming up? Oh, well, that's going to be on March 17th. And his other case, 21 CR 006-604H. Those are also going to be placed on the March 17th SAP calendar. So Ms. Melissa, the two cases, companion cases for Mr. Bragg's listed on the calendar. We're going to put both of those plus this one on the March 17th SAP calendar. We can address all three at the same time.
Got it, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ford. Next case, please.
Your position number 5, Mr. Jason Dates.
Jason Dates is accused of simple battery, domestic violence, and misdemeanor possession of marijuana in case 22 CR 001205J. Mr. Dates, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Ford. And Mr. Tucson, any priors on Mr. Dates?
43 total. On probation, possession of marijuana, possession of a firearm by convicted felon. 2014, they gave him 12 years probation for that in Fayette County.
That's good. Thank you. That's good. Ms. Gardner?
Your Honor, are you familiar with the allegations in the warrant?
Yes, I've read the warrant.
Okay, if I could add to that, our advocate did speak with Ms. Lanika Mack this morning. She advised that during the episode, Mr. Dates put both of his hands around her throat from behind her and lifted her up by her throat so that her feet were lifted off the ground. She was unable to talk or to scream, and she says she did lose consciousness. She did go to the hospital for treatment. She'll be getting us those records. They have a child together. She advises this is not the first time that he has been violent, and she fears for her life and the safety of her child. At this time, she is living with him with his mother, and she is asking that he stay away until she finishes getting her stuff together and moving out. We will be referring this case for transfer as aggravated assault strangulation. In addition to the open felony charge, we're looking at 13 probation violations, 2 revocations, 2 FTAs, 2 prior convictions of obstructing 911 calls that shows that he has a tendency to render his victims isolated from help. We believe that with these violent charges that he also has a battery, family violence, possession of firearm by a felon. We're asking for an $8,000 cash bond, no contact with Lanika Mack, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and a 1-day anger awareness.
All right. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client's 42 years old. 32 of those years have been spent right here in the state of Georgia. He has his own, he's self-employed. He has his mobile barber business where that means he has a valid driver's license here in the state of Georgia. He had been taking care of the 1-year-old child. He had been spending almost 8 to 10 hours a day with the child because he had been the caregiver during that period of time. He has a stable address, as you have noted, that with his mother. I don't believe he has any issue, Your Honor, staying away until such time as the complaining witness can move out. I do have a telephone number for him, Your Honor. He feels that his business will take a significant decline if he is not able to to get a bond that he can make. Your Honor, we're asking for $1,000 surety bond at this time.
On the misdemeanor possession of marijuana, that's going to be a $500 signature bond through the jail. On the simple battery, that's going to be a $3,500 cash bond only. Total bond is $4,000. It is a split bond. No contact with Miss Lanika Mack. Stay away from 2888 Addison Park in South Fulton. No illegal drugs, no weapons, no firearms, and no alcoholic beverages. No contact with the child with whom he shares with Miss Mack. If he seeks to have any visitation or custody with regards to the child he shares with Miss Mack, he needs to file a separate legitimation action.
Your Honor, can we have one, just one minor amendment, is that the stay away be for a period of time of maybe anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days, because as been mentioned by the ASG, that the complaining witness only wants enough time to move her things out of his mother's home. That's where he's staying, and so the complaining witness is moving out. So I would ask that there be an amendment that he does not stay away totally from the 2228 Addison Park, Riverdale, that he be given an opportunity to go back in the near future.
I thought of that. I'm going to address, if he's still at the jail facility, we will address that on March 17th. However, if the state has amended the case to Superior Court for a possible aggravated assault strangulation, then the bond is going to be amended to no bond, and he would have to address that matter in Superior Court.
Can I say something, please?
Mr. Dates, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you, especially if you want to talk about the facts of the case. As we've just discussed, there's a possibility that this case is going to go to Superior Court as a felony matter. So I would recommend that you exercise your right to remain silent.
Hold on.
Hold on, Mr. Dates. I'd like to just chime in here for a moment. Is that if I would ask that you do not speak at this time. But if you want to have any clarification, you can address me on the clarification of what just took place. But if you're going to speak on the facts of the matter, I would ask that you not do that. So
I just want to say 2 girls was fighting in my house.
Oh, okay, hold on. Mr. Dates, see, you're going into the facts of the case, and I've asked you not to do that. And you are going to be going back to court on March 17th, where bond can be addressed again, and also the stay away, as the judge has mentioned. So I would not talk about the facts of the case at this time.
Can we repeat my bond, please?
$3,500 cash bond only on the simple battery, $500 signature bond through the jail. No contact with Miss Lanika Mack. Stay away from 2888 Addison Park in South Fulton. And no illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearms. If you seek to have contact with your minor child with whom you share with Miss Mack, you would need to file a legitimation action in Superior Court and get a court order for visitation and custody.
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is March 17th. Thank you.
That's what you get when you let a homeless person live in your house.
Next case, please, courtroom 2.
Your Honor, give me a second.
Sure.
I'm gonna take you back. Sit down. Can we do position number 8, Mr. Christopher Jenkins?
Of course. Christopher Jenkins is accused of battery domestic violence from September 15, 2018. This is a case in 22 CR 001 208Y. And I just, okay. Mr. Jenkins, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and Mr. Derek Howard will be representing you. Who's the prosecutor?
I'll be handling that, Your Honor.
All right.
The state's recommendation in this matter is a $10,000 surety bond. We'd ask that he have no further contact with the victim, whose name is Tykesia Sears, to not return to the incident location, which is 324 Brooks Avenue Southwest in Atlanta. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms while out on bond. A one-day anger awareness. The state is concerned in this matter, as the court is aware upon reading the warrant, that this is an outstanding warrant between the defendant and Ms. Sears. He also has an open ag assault cruelty matter with the same victim out of 2020 that he was picked up on as well with Ms. Sears. And the reason he was picked up is another felony, a possession of cocaine, where the victim was with him at the time of the incident. So that is why we were asking for the $10,000 surety bond and all the other conditions that were requested in this matter.
So if we didn't have the pandemic and if he hadn't been arrested till now, this case would have been dismissed. Is that correct?
And just my contention, even with the extensions, by the Supreme Court, that it will still be beyond the statute of limitations. So we believe it's going to be time barred regardless.
If this was an active warrant, and the state can show that, he was evading, there are two separate warrants here. I can't talk to whether it would be dismissed based on a statute of limitations issue. But the concern is that he's got another ag assault that would be pending, as well as still having contact with the victim.
Well, yeah, I totally understand that, but is it with the same victim? I don't think so.
It is with the same victim.
Same victim? Okay, so that matter is going to be taken care of in Superior Court. This whole case is going to be a 2,500 signature bond through the jail. I'm not going to issue any restrictions because I agree with Mr. Howard. I do believe that this may be a time barred case. But in the meantime, if the state believes that they have an argument of evasion, I really don't have anything to that effect, but I'm going to give you all the benefit of doubt. And he gets a signature bond through the jail unrestricted. Any impositions with regards to protection for the victim can either come from Superior Court or it can, Ms. Sears can obtain a protective order in Family Violence Court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
This next court date will be set, we will mail it to his current address. However, if he's still at the jail, Mr. Howard, should I reset this to March 17th?
Judge, I don't know that we'll need to address anything on this case at that time.
All right. So it's going to be just, shall I arraign it?
Well, we can set it to the 17th for that purpose, Judge.
March 17th.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, we have position 7, Mr. Favors.
It's refreshing to hear the Public Defender's Office almost agreed to an arraignment. All right, Mr. Sherrod Antoine Favors, case number 22 CR 001207J. Mr. Favors has got an incident from February 10th, 2022, and in which he has now got warrants and now accused charges for speeding, fleeing, or attempting to elude an officer, reckless driving, improper passing, no insurance, and suspended registration. Mr. Favors, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Derek Howard. Mr. Tucson?
4 total. Last arrest was 2019, felony sale of marijuana. It was accused in Polk County. Before that was 2019 FTA, 2 fast for conditions. Possession of a controlled substance within 1,000 feet of schools, and a 2007 trespass. He's a resident of Rockmart.
That's in Georgia, right?
Somewhere in Georgia, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know where.
It's right next door to Loganville.
Loganville is in Gwinnett and Walton counties, actually.
All right, Ms. Duffin?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would be asking for a total $6,000 surety bond. That would be $1,000 on each charge. We would also be asking for no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms while out on bond.
Thank you. Mr. Howard?
Judge, Mr. Favors is 31 years old.
Oh, I'm sorry, your audio went soft.
Can you hear me, Judge?
Yes, now it's clear.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Favors is 31 years old. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. His family lives here in the metro Atlanta area. He's gainfully employed with Tip Top Poultry, a job he's had for about 6 months, which pays him a decent income. He won't qualify for our services beyond today. I did advise him of that. He does have 3 minor children. He has twins, a boy and a girl that are 3 years old, and a 7-year-old boy that live with him. And he's obviously concerned about being able to continue to provide for them and to be engaged with them. Judge, I anticipate his private counsel will explore an alibi defense in this case. Mr. Favors tells me he has written documentation as well as his employer can verify that he was at work at the time that this incident allegedly took place. So we believe that ultimately it'll be shown that he was not the person driving the vehicle in question. So we would ask the court, given that this is not a crime of violence, it's a limited history, he has a fairly limited history, we'd ask the court for a signature bond in this case. Also, we believe that he is not in fact the person involved.
All right. On the speeding, it's going to be 500. The fleeing and attempting to elude is going to be 1,000. The reckless driving is going to be 1,000. Improper passing is going to be 250. No insurance and suspended registration are 500 each. His total bond, that's going to be a surety bond. No driving unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. That's 2. That's 1, 2, 3, 3,750. Did you get, Miss Melissa, is that what you have?
I'm still writing it up, Judge. I haven't totaled it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do the numbers again.
It's 500 for speeding, 1,000 for fleeing or attempting to elude, 1,000 for reckless driving, $250 for improper passing.
That's 1, 2, 3.
That's $27.50, right?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
and then no insurance is 500, suspended registration is 500.
Yeah, that's $37.50.
No driving unless you have a valid driver's license attached to you at all times, proper registration for the vehicle, and adequate automobile insurance.
And Judge, would the court consider a signature bond on some, if not all of these charges? I think maybe
those are the lowest I can go after reading the warrant and the allegations. If there is an identity issue, I'm sure Officer Samuel Freeman will be available to discuss that.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
What was the total?
3,750 surety bond.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, before you, position number 9 is Mr. Taylor.
Okay, Mr. Daryl Marcus Taylor is accused of battery domestic violence from March 2nd, 2022 in case 22 CR 001-209C. Mr. Taylor, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and you're going to be represented by Mr. Derek Howard. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
This 4th arrest, last was 2019, misdemeanor possession of marijuana. Has history out of Virginia. 2018, he was found guilty of contempt of court, use or display of a firearm during the commission of a felony, conspiracy to commit a felony, robbery, credit card forgery, and 2 counts of credit card theft.
Ms. Duffin?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would be asking for a $5,000 surety bond in this matter to not return to the incident location, which is 3150 Desert Drive in East Point, to have no further contact with the victim, whose name is LaQuasha Gibson. no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms while out on bond, and to complete a one-day anger awareness. The concern with the state, we have not been able to have contact with the victim, but there is an allegation that the defendant did choke her during the incident.
Okay. Mr. Howard?
Judge, Mr. Taylor is 36 years old. He is originally from Virginia. However, he has established residence here in the past 3 years. He is gainfully employed full-time as a supervisor for Amazon. He's been on that job for 2.5 years. He does have 3 minor children, one of which he co-parents with Ms. Gibson in this case that he is very active with and supports. Judge, I can tell you that, well, we didn't see any allegation of any strangulation, but it's my understanding that the allegation there were scratches on Ms. Gibson's arm and neck. However, the warrant that I saw even indicates that Mr. Gibson advised that she was actually the physical aggressor trying to take a phone from him. And in the course of that exchange is where she may have obtained some type of injury. He tells me that he is the one that actually called police. He indicates that an argument began and he could see she was getting heated. So he tried to avoid and de-escalate the situation by leaving. That is when she blocked and tried to grab his phone, thinking he was going to call someone. And then ultimately he waited outside of the apartment or the residence until police arrived. So Judge, we would ask the court to take that into account. I was hoping actually that she would be on to clarify. He tells me that she admitted to the officer after he was in the car that she was the aggressor and was, not wanting him to ultimately be taken to jail for something that he didn't do. And they told it's too late. He's in the car and took him on to to Wright Street. But Judge, given that he doesn't have a fairly recent history, he did have a conviction for which he served his time. He did 11 years in custody for that offense, Judge, that felony offense. However, since that he's been released, he's had no issues as it relates to any type of crimes of violence. He's gotten a good job at Amazon, and he's on the right track. We'd ask the court to consider a signature bond in this case. He does have an alternate address, and I'll put that in the chat where he can stay. So we would ask the court to take that into account if the court is not inclined to allow him to have contact. He understands that.
Bond is set at $3,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, and no contact with Miss LaQuasha. I'm sorry, I didn't kind of read my writing. Is it Gibson?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Stay away from the location 3150 Desert Drive or 3150-12 Desert Drive in South Fulton. Excuse me, no, it's in East Point, Fulton County, Georgia. He can return one time only with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings, but within 30 days of being released, he needs to update the court with his new address. So if you have that, Mr. Howard, that would be great.
I do have that.
And no illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, and no firearms.
Judge, the only additional consideration we'd ask is that he is an active father. We'd ask that if Ms. Gibson is okay with a third party being a transfer, that he be allowed to continue to see his child. So that's the only other consideration we have, third party transfer.
How old is the child?
The child that they share is 11 months old, Judge.
All right. He needs to file a legitimation action and get a custody order and visitation for the child.
Judge, I guess I would ask the court to consider obviously the time that it takes if he filed that today.
Oh, it doesn't take that long. The documents to file a legitimation action is in the self-help center.
Right.
And as soon as they file it, if Ms. Gibson has no objection, service is waived, and it gets to the presiding judge real fast.
Okay, so the presiding judge can hear that it's not a situation where he has to wait. Okay,
No,
fair enough.
it's in family court, and they have a lot of judicial officers who do that.
Thank you, Judge.
Mhm.
Is this through pretrial, Your Honor?
I'm sorry, Deputy Milton, what was that?
Is this through pretrial?
This is through pretrial. He will be reporting to pretrial once a month, and if he gets arrested again, he loses his signature bond. All right. Do you have another case, Deputy Milton?
No, we're finished.
What happened with
All right.
Bepco?
What was that, Tucson?
Number 3.
Shannon Bepko.
Your Honor, I was informed that that was a quarantine. I could not interview Mr.
All right. It's going to be reset to Monday, March 7th. See calendar, unless the defense waives her appearance. Okay.
We'd have to try to, yes.
All right, courtroom 2, thank you very much. Attorneys, we will just go over the calendar. Adams, well, let me do the add-on. Andrew Wiggins, the add-on was a 3,500 surety bond reset to March 17th. On the main SAP calendar, we have
calendar.
Jalon Adams, and that's a 1,500 signature bond through pretrial services with a co-signer. Position 2 is a 3,500 split bond, 1,500 surety and 2,000 signature bond through the jail, and reset dates March 17th. Position 3 is reset to this coming Monday C calendar. Position 4 Braggs is a $2,000 surety bond, reset March 17th. Position 5 is a 3,500 cash and 500 signature bond through the jail, 4,000 split bond. Reset March 17th. Position 6 Dixon is a 4,000 signature bond through pretrial. Position 7 is a $3,750 surety bond. Reset date is March 17th. Position 8 is a 2,500 signature bond through the jail. And I'm sorry, Tucson, did you say we cannot reset him?
Ooh.
For Christopher Jenkins?
I ain't saying nothing.
All right.
About Jenkins?
Well, 372.
Is that the one with the signature
Judge,
bonds?
Judge, Mr. Jordan was saying that we can't reset him. He came in here. We need to send him to the
So you had said you was resetting him to be arraigned on the SAP calendar, but you gave him a signature bond. That's the message I had sent you.
Oh, I
But
see.
he has other cases holding Mr. Jordan.
Oh,
so
he has other holds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So we
Yeah,
can
he's
do
got an
consent.
open felony case.
Okay, I got it now.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry, it wasn't you, Tucson, it was Mr. Jordan. Sorry. Okay, so that case is a 2,500 signature bond through the jail, but reset to SAP on March 17th. Position 9 is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial. Position 10 is a 2,500 signature bond through, a 3,500 split bond, $1,000 through the jail, and 2,500 signature bond through pretrial. Position 11 is a $1,500 surety bond, and reset dates March 17th. That's
Did
it.
you get the waiver?
I did, and I'm going to send it to you right away. I just need to save it as a PDF and then email it back to you.
Okay.
All right. Any questions, folks? Any corrections to be made?
Just one question on Jordan Taylor, position 10, but that was the signature bond. I was trying to get the 3,500, it was $1,000 through the jail.
Yes.
Signature on the cruelty to children and simple battery was 2,500. Is that a signature bond as well?
It is through pretrial.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, everyone, you'll have enjoy this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank
Be
you.
safe.